Hello and welcome back to Talk About Strange. I got two phenomenal encounter stories here for you. The first one is a possible UFO encounter with some lost time. So this gentleman wrote this in hopes that the woman that was out there with him will hear the story and maybe offer some information as to what happened that night. The second one is a Bigfoot encounter that was an ex-military, I believe Navy. We'll get to that in a minute. I'm hoping we're going to get some information on that Bigfoot cold case that we've put up and we're looking for. That happened in around 1900 to 1909 or somewhere in that range. So if you guys heard anything about that or you know anything about that, please make sure you reach out and give us some information. That's on Greg's story. He's on there with the comments, so keep an eye open for him. He might have some updates on that. Here's some big news for you. I got a message from Jane. She's adding what appears to be her final chapter in her story here for us, but I'm really glad that she sent it in to us. It's phenomenal. I've already been over it. I'm working on it. I want to get that one loaded up, and I'm going to put that out. So look for that one. That's going to be huge. I don't have any other updates other than that. Keep an eye on the Talk About Strange store. We have new products going up all the time, and we got some stuff in the works that you're going to be really excited about. I know I am. So let's get started with this story, and we'll go from there, all right? Hi, Steve. I would like to share my story. I don't want my name given out. I want you to share my story and hope that the woman in the car would read this or hear this and offer her account of what happened that night. I will be watching for it. I want to tell you what happened to me on Highway 21 around east of Necedah. I was driving to school in La Crosse. I grew up in Neenah, 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 Wisconsin, and was driving back to school in La Crosse on a Sunday night after visiting my parents. It was about 11 p.m., and I was driving through a spot on the road that was surrounded by pines. I looked up and saw something black and huge over the road. There was a car pulled over to one side, and I pulled over on the other side. I got out and saw a woman standing at the back of the car. She looked at me and pointed up at the black thing over the road. The thing was all black and made up of black squares that laid on top of each other. The moon reflected off from it like black glass. I looked back at the woman, and there were three glowing ovals-shaped things surrounding her. I couldn't make out the faces of them. It was like three people of sort. I turned around to my car and reached in to grab my camera off my passenger seat. As soon as I bent over into the car and reached for it, I felt something grab my shoulder and pull me backwards out of the car. Next thing, I was coming to, sitting in my car. I looked back over at the car, where the car was, and the woman and the car were gone. I looked up, and the thing in the sky was gone. My head was swimming, and I couldn't think straight. I reached over and closed my door and laid my head on the steering wheel. I knew I had to get out of there. My head was still swimming, but I started the car and drove off. I drove about 20 or 30 feet and realized my head was swimming too much, so I had to stop, pull over. I pulled over and waited for my head to clear. After about 10 or 15 minutes, I started to drive again. When I got back to the La Crosse, it was after 1 a.m., and I had lost about 2 hours of time. I don't want to give my name, but you can call me Ken. I don't know what happened to the woman or her car. I'm hoping that she reads this or hears this and tells us what she remembers about what happened that night. This happened around 15 to 20 years ago. I have only told one person about this because I don't want people to think that I made it up or that I'm nuts. This did really happen. I just wanted to know what happened to me that night, but the truth does scare me. Thank you for listening to my story. All right. I believe you. This isn't the first time I've heard of this. There's a lot of accounts like this. How you lost 2 hours, I don't know. It sounds like you were knocked unconscious or stunned or something. Yeah, what happened to that lady in the car? You know, did she leave? Was she taken? Who knows, man? Who knows what happened there? Hopefully she's out there and she'll see this video and offer up some information. But thank you very much for sharing that with us. That's what we need to do. I mean, we need to share our encounters and stories and things like this to happen. The truth is coming out more and more all the time. So it's not going to come out if we hide behind it. We have to bring it out. And it's so much more accepted now than it used to be. Just so many people are coming forward with information, and the government is even opening up a lot with a lot of information. So I don't think they wanted to, but it's happening. Anyway, thank you for sharing that story with us. We're going to move on to the next one, and we'll see where that goes. We'll be looking for that information. Anybody leave something in the comments if you know anything about this, and or if you've had any of these experiences, let us know, would you please? All right, moving along. Okay, we got another one from John. This is his Bigfoot encounter. All right, My Hairy Creature Encounter, 1987, by John Summer. Backstory. I grew up outside of a small town in Kansas called Osawatomie. Did all the typical boy things like hunting, fishing, camping, spending time in the woods, playing over, and building forts. So I like spending time in the woods. In 1985, I went into the Navy, and after boot camp, I was stationed in Mayport, Florida, next to Jacksonville, Florida. Thank you for your service. We appreciate it. The encounter. I was about 19 or 20 and at the bar that me and some of my friends from the ship hung out at a lot. We all were close friends with that night manager, and we would watch the door and check IDs for free drinks and escort the ladies to their vehicles at night because they had some problems with some of the customers that wanted to hit them or beat them up. One night, Doug, the night manager, asked me to take Heaven home because her car was in the shop. It was about 11 p.m. I said yes, I would, as I was also the D&D for the night, and asked my friend Terry to go along with me for the drive back. She lived about 20 miles west of Jacksonville in a small town. We talked about different things and listened to the radio and what they call now hair bands of the 80s. We arrived at her house and pulled up in the driveway. After she got out, Terry got out and moved up to the front passenger seat. After we got settled in, or he got settled in, I pulled out and we headed back towards Jacksonville. As soon as you get out of town, there was nothing but a small 2-lane highway and woods on both sides of it. About 10 miles into the drive, we were just listening to the radio and Terry wasn't feeling good, so he dozed off. I said to myself, what a great co-pilot, and laughed to myself. So I was just zoning, listening to some of the good tunes and deep in my own thoughts. Slowly started noticing a thick fog on both sides moving in. A little bit after that, I seen something on the left side of the road. I flipped on my high beams, and that's when I saw it, about 7.5 to 8 feet tall, about 3 foot wide and covered in long black, dark brown hair. Kind of looking like Chewy, laugh out loud. But what was amazing, the amazing part is that it took 2 steps and was across the highway. 1 step to the middle of the road on the yellow line, the next step on the white line, and then into the woods. I slammed on my brakes and screamed, WTF was that? Terry woke up and was like, WTF is going on? I said, dude, did you see that effing thing? It's a huge hairy creature that just crossed the highway right in front of us. He said, no, I had my eyes closed. I said, thanks, man. Whatever it was big and hairy. I think I just saw a Bigfoot. He was like, get the F out of here. It took me a few minutes to settle down and continue to drive. I told Terry, you know I haven't been drinking tonight, so you can't say I'd had too many drinks, and imagined it. I drove like a bat out of hell and didn't stop until we got back to the bar. Before we went back in, I told my friend Terry he could crash at my place because after all that, I needed a good stiff drink, or 4 or 5. We went back in and down at the bar and was more quiet than normal. Doug could tell there was something wrong with me. Doug said, what's the matter? I said, first, make the strongest Long Island iced tea you can make, and I'll tell you all about it. It's okay. Terry's going to be driving to my house and crash there as well. Doug comes back with in a couple of minutes with my Long Island iced tea. He only used enough cola to give it a light brown tint. So I started telling Doug what happened and what I saw. When I said I saw a Bigfoot, some of the people around me believed me, and some just laughed and said, that I probably drank too much and just thought I saw it. Luckily, I had several friends that knew until I started drinking that Long Island iced tea that I hadn't had a drop of booze and backed me up. That in itself quieted the ones that were laughing at me because they all knew I didn't lie and what I seen and told you was the truth. Lastly, since being in the military, I know firsthand that the government will cover up anything they feel fit to do and keep it secret no matter what the cost. So when I heard that the government was covering up these encounters, I knew without a shadow of doubt the government had knowledge of the Dogman and Bigfoot, that they really exist. There you go. All right. Another great encounter. Thanks, John, for sending that in. Again, you're talking about somebody that's in the Navy, no nonsense, and if you say you've seen this, I believe you've seen it. So, I mean, that's wild. Thank you for sharing that with us. And, that's like your atypical Bigfoot sighting, crossing the road or on the side of the road. I don't know why that fog reminds me of something. I've heard something about that. But anyway, thank you for sending that in to us. You guys go ahead and get on the comments and tell us what you think. And we'll be looking for that. I've been really busy lately. I apologize if I haven't been on there that much, but I'm still thinking about all you guys. I'm still trying to get stuff done and keep bringing it to the channel for you. So that's it for now. Thank you again, and we'll see you again real soon.